Hi, this is the evaluation of the order trading system for March the 8th, 2021. We had 6 trades on that day, 3 were buys and 3 were short sells. First trade is AVGO. That's Broadcom Incorporated. It tripped at 11:47:07 a.m. at a price of 438.32. It was a short sell. It closed the day at 421.25. Down 6.42%. So that's a positive trade. Check the indicators. Okay, 4707. Okay, so OBV, see that's a steady decline after early morning when it tripped. MACD tripped. It came up a bit MACD wise, so averages came up, but then you can see averages just started dropping in the afternoon. DI negative for the most part of the day, and you can see afternoon very heavily negative. So, DI showing very strongly downward trend. And Bollinger Band, as you can see, once it hit that tripping point, it just dropped. Next trade is CTRM. That's Castor Maritime Incorporated. It tripped at 12:24:59 p.m. at a price of 92 cents. It was a buy. This stock would be considered one of the short sell. Excuse me, one of the penny stock is the word I'm looking for. This is a penny stock, so this is always a concerning point because of the fact of the aspect of low stocks, especially penny stocks, are not usually that active in a good fashion. So check to see what this is saying. 1224. 32. So you can see it came up and dropped, moved sideways. The good thing is at least it moved sideways after it dropped a little bit. We'll see if the indicators were showing that. OBV came down in the afternoon, was moving sideways. MACD, pretty much stayed stable after its peak. Came down a bit. Now, the bad thing is DI showing a very negative downward trend in the mid-afternoon period, so it was actually going down quite heavily direction-wise. Bollinger Band, though, showing that, the same thing. Came down after that peak trading trip point and then moved sideways. I think for the most part, it looks like indicators are showing somewhat sideways movements at the end of the day. DI is a little bit disconcerting because it was actually quite heavily negative in the afternoon, which is interesting because it tripped in a positive fashion. But you can see the closing period, DI, it came up and started moving positive again. Early morning, the stock is actually up 7.52% from previous close. I'm going to say that's possible just because we have the indicator showing that it's moving sideways for the most part at the end of the day, and luckily enough we have pre-market activity here, which is showing that it's pretty much coming back up to its tripping price, which is good. So that definitely is a possible, not a positive, but a possible. Next trade is AYX. AYX, yes. That's orderIT Incorporated. It tripped at 1:55:45 p.m. at a price of 83.25. It was a short sell. It closed the day at 81.89, down 1.50%. And early morning, it's made a recovery, so you'd have to get out, obviously, on that stock on the day it was trading. So that is a positive trade. So take a look at the indicators. OBV, somewhat a steady decline and a little bit of a recovery in the afternoon volume-wise. MACD actually shows it bouncing up and forth a bit, so a little bit of a sideways activity with respect to MACD. DI, though, it did make a little bit of recovery mid-afternoon, but you can see it was mostly heavily negative and very negative in the afternoon. And Bollinger Band won't say anything, it just dropped, so that stock was moving downwards. Next trade is NAK, Northern Dynasty Minerals Limited. It tripped at 3:15:12 p.m. at a price of 65 cents, another penny stock. It was a short sell. It closed the day at 65.19 and is actually up early morning. That's not a good look. 3:15. Let's see, it tripped right around here. It never, I never closed below its tripping price. In general, I don't show more than 2 decimal places after the tripping price, so that stock may have actually tripped a bit higher, but we don't have that information at this point in time, and the stock is not moving very positive. This is very negative in general. Like I said, the price itself is just not showing it. It dropped, but then stabilized. Basically, started moving sideways. And we want that stock to obviously continue dropping. OVV did come down, as you can see. MACD came down, recovery. DI, though, actually showing very strongly negative. The stock was moving very negative. Bollinger Band came down. I would say that's a 100% positive, possible opportunity, but if it was just indicators, I'd be leading almost with the aspect of it being possible, but early morning activity is showing the stock is moving up, so it's recovering early morning. I'm going to say that that's not a possible just because of it. The pre-market is just questionable, so I can't give a confirmation of possible. I think there could definitely certainly still be a possible because pre-market doesn't always indicate that that's the way the stock is going to be moving, but it gives you an indication of what the movers are trying to do with it. So next trade is HLX. That's Helix Energy Solutions Group Incorporated. It tripped at 3:40:02 p.m. at a price of 6.20. It's a buy. Closed the day at 6.18, and there is some pre-market activity up to 6.19, so it is making a bit of a recovery. 3.40. I really don't like the stuff at this point in size. 6.21 and it dropped. Yeah, if it stayed up to the whole close around that time, I'd say yes. There's definitely a possible there, but there's just not enough time, and it's not showing a consistent. OBV showing that it came up in the afternoon. MACD showing that it came up in the afternoon. Closing, went down a little bit. So we got that trip, but right after the trip, it just dropped. And Bollinger Band just dropped. Indicators are not giving a good indication. And in general, majority of the indicators are showing somewhat of a sideways movement and not a heavy drop. DI is about the only thing that shot up negative-wise, so direction-wise on that. But early morning it is up. I'm going to say it's a possible just because I don't feel that it's 100% negative in general. Next trade is C. That's Citigroup Incorporated. I tripped at 3:43:05 p.m. at a price of 72.64. It was a buy. It closed the day at 72.22. It was up 2.83%, but you see early morning it's dropping again. So it didn't. Let's see, it came up. 350, 343. I don't usually work with less than 10 minutes of rise, but there was periods during the activity after the tripping that it did come up above its tripping price. And we're talking end of day here, and I'm going to say because of end of day activity that we're going to be a little bit more flexible in the aspect of saying, hey, it was up at least 5 minutes, and most likely you would have been monitoring the stock anyways because it was the end of day, and if you bought it. I'm going to say it's a positive just because of that. It is showing negative early morning in the pre-market. So that's a concern. OBV showing that, yeah, it came up in the afternoon. MACD came up in the afternoon. DI came up in the afternoon. Bollinger Band, it was pretty much up in the afternoon. So Bollinger Band certainly showing a possible there, even though early morning activity is showing that it did drop, which is annoying, but again, it's pre-market, so that's always not a good indication of anything. So let's say we have 3 out of 6, so that's certainly 50%. And we had 5 out of 6 with possible. Okay. So technically 50% absolute and roughly 83% with possible stock trades. So not a great day, but I wouldn't say it's a terrible day either. I say you could say almost 50% that the stocks were possible and are positive, and with the possibles that helped out quite a bit. So day after this would have been I think a good day because of that. So not great because of only 50%, but not terrible because day after there's potential of actually having a high possible or a positive conclusion. I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you very much.